Windy weather is going to be sticking around for a little while longer as we head into the evening and the night. Low temperatures also falling off a little bit more as we gradually clear out. Low 20s with a couple of low 30s out there for good measure. We'll keep with the clearer skies for Tuesday, so plenty of sunshine to enjoy, but it is going to be breezy, if not outright windy once again. This time East River with temperatures holding mainly in the 40s to low 50s. We get a brief warm up on Wednesday, but then we watch out for that next step on Thanksgiving. More on that coming up in your forecast, but until then, First at 4 starts right now.
Live from KELOLAND Media Group. KELOLAND News, first at 4.
Our KELOLAND News investigation looks into the year-round effort to stop human trafficking during the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally.
Plus, we talk with a Smithfield employee who wrote a best-selling book about her survival as a lost child of Sudan.
Plus, we're going to be talking with Sports Director Grant Sweeter about the FCS college football brackets. Good afternoon, and thanks for tuning in to First at 4. I'm Don Jorgensen.
And I'm Kelly Volk. A man who beat a Box Elder woman to death last year will spend 40 years behind bars. 44-year-old Jamie Prince pleaded guilty but mentally ill to first-degree manslaughter. Prince stabbed and kicked 61-year-old Shirley Bartolotta at her home on August 31st of last year. And during sentencing, attorneys told the court that Bartolotta was so badly beaten that her family wasn't able to have an open casket funeral. The judge says that this was one of the most gruesome attacks he had ever seen. The charges are pending against two people as Brookings police investigate an animal complaint. On Friday, officers were called to a home near the intersection of 6th Street and 12th Avenue. Authorities say that due to unsanitary living conditions, 12 dogs and a child were removed from the home. The Department of Social Services and Heartland Veterinary Clinic helped in the case. The U.S. Supreme Court rejected an appeal by former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, leaving in place his conviction for the killing of George Floyd. Attorneys for Chauvin had asked the Supreme Court to take up his legal battle, which centered around a denial to change the venue and to sequester the jury. Chauvin argued that the decision to keep the proceedings in Minneapolis deprived him of his right to a fair trial because of the publicity and the threat of violence if he was acquitted. Well, it's time to get to the weather now. It sounds like it's going to be changing out there. Well, I know you said this at midday, Adam. Dreary was how you described the weather today. Yeah, between the cloud cover, the on and off little sprinkles now and again, it wasn't the best looking day to be outside. But we make up for that tomorrow and even Wednesday, for that matter, with more sunshine. But depending on whether you like cooler or warmer days, it's going to really decide whether you're a fan of tomorrow or if you're a fan of Wednesday. We'll go back in time first. Over the last 24 hours, some locations did finally get some rain. We had some light showers here in Sioux Falls amounting to a little, if anything, in the rain gauge, but a couple of locations like Yankton, you got up to 1/3 of an inch of rainfall. Winter, a little over 1/4. And the Remo from Tyndall had over 1/2 an inch of rain from what we've seen over the last 24 hours. But in general, 1/10 of an inch or less in many locations. But it's better than the alternative, which has been a whole lot of nothing as of late. A couple of little isolated sprinkles trying to hang tough near Huron, east of Madison as well. Frontal boundary is going to sweep out the rest of this rain as we go into the rest of your Monday. We got some sunshine finally peeking through. We've had to deal with that cloud cover for a better part of the day. Eureka looking nice, 53 with a northwesterly breeze at 10 miles per hour. Falls Park, though, still looking gray, but at least we got the lights to compensate for that. That'll be turned on in a little under an hour. 47 at the airport, north wind at 7 miles per hour. And for your day tomorrow, we'll be talking about, well, like I said, a cooler day. The temperatures in the upper 30s to mid 40s for southeastern KELOLAND. It's also going to be windy, especially East River, so you will want to keep that in mind. We get sunshine tomorrow to the northeast, but again, it's windy and it's at bare minimum cool, if not chilly. Again, upper 30s along the Prairie Coteau, low to mid 40s, a little bit west of that. Speaking of west, we have West River, 40s and a couple of 50s, though the latter is more likely toward the Wyoming and Montana borders, respectively. We get a brief and dare we say deceptive warm-up that comes around on Wednesday, and the bottom drops out on those temperatures pretty quickly. We'll talk about that, a Thanksgiving Day outlook, and what comes around afterward on your forecast as we head through the hour. Thanks, Adam. The Great Plains Zoo says one of its black bears has died.
Charles, the black bear, was 24 years old. He arrived at the zoo in 2009 with his sister Ella, and due to declining health in recent years, Charles had been living behind the scenes in a habitat renovated especially just to meet his needs. Zoo
staff say they'll remember Charles as a gentle giant who loved pumpkins, walnuts, his toys, and long naps in the sunshine. Well, with the continuing drought across the Midwest, Iowa State University is looking at the prospects for a new crop. And the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations has declared 2023 as the International Year of Millets. But these crops are unfamiliar to many Iowa farmers. Prozo millet is a hardy cereal grain that requires about half the water that corn needs per bushel of grain produced. It can also be grown without the need to apply expensive nitrogen fertilizer. The Iowa State University president gave a presentation to the Iowa Board of Regents.
I think there really is opportunities to think differently about a third crop in Iowa, especially as we look at growing needs for crops that don't require as much water. So it'll be an interesting thing to watch this particular innovation grow and perhaps take hold in even the Midwest, but certainly in countries around the world.
Prozo millet also has a low carbon score, which means it could qualify for industry incentives. Well, the Minneapolis Public Schools Teachers Union is being criticized for a statement that it posted last week concerning the Israel-Hamas war. Jewish families and teachers are expressing both outrage and worry about the war seeping into the classroom. Jonah Kaplan with our CBS affiliate has the story.
1 week before families and communities come together for Thanksgiving, the Minneapolis Federation of Teachers chose to wade into an emotional and divisive subject.
What's the difference between taking a stand in this and taking a stand after the murder of George Floyd, after overturning Roe v. Wade?
Whether they believe in it or not is completely separate from answering the question, is what I'm doing putting my students at risk?
The union posting this statement, saying it mourns the loss of all civilian life from the Israel-Hamas war, but condemns what it calls the system of Israeli occupation and apartheid, while also endorsing a boycott of the Jewish state.
You both feel very vulnerable right now.
Ellie Fine-Sternberg and Jeremy Cohen are both parents of MPS students. Their families joined more than a dozen others on Friday, handing this letter to every teacher and administrator at their children's elementary school. The letter urges them to denounce MFT's statement. They say ignores the Hamas attack on October 7th, fails to mention the 240 hostages still in Gaza, and engages in rhetoric they think could lead to bullying, harassment, and discrimination in the classroom.
And I don't see them commenting on genocides that are happening in Yemen or Libya or Sudan or other places throughout the world. So I was confused why they felt compelled to engage in this affair.
If they connect the dots that Israel is a Jewish state, and then they know that my daughter is Jewish, it's easy to connect the dots why an 8-year-old child would go blame my daughter for things that their teacher told them or things they've heard in the news.
Some Jewish teachers in MPS and members of the union also sharing similar worries with us, but they refuse to speak on the record, with many saying they're nervous of retaliation. MFT, as well as its parent union, Education Minnesota, were either unable or unwilling to respond to our questions. Right. Both Fine-Sternberg and Cohen saying their families not ready to pull out of MPS yet. They'd rather use this as a learning opportunity for teachers. And that's a great lesson for students, too.
As parents of Jewish children in these schools, we want to help educate them. We want them to understand why this matters.
In Minneapolis, Jonah Kaplan, WCCO News.